Now, I've been saying for a long time that I think Bernie Sanders does stand a pretty good chance of beating Hillary Clinton. Doesn't mean he's definitely going to win. Number one problem that Hillary Clinton has is she's the establishment candidate in an era when people are sick of the establishment. They can't stand the establishment. In the old days, that would have been a huge positive, especially for a Democratic candidate, because Democrats would flirt with progressives like Howard Dean, and then they get scared and run back to John Kerry. Well, we're not scared anymore, and now people are getting information from online so much more than they are from TV. Back in 2004, yes, Howard Dean had a good presence online. The online community existed, but it wasn't anywhere near as strong as it is today. And so when TV said, and all the major newspapers and magazines, be scared of Howard Dean. He's a real liberal. That's dangerous. Go back to the establishment. And the Democrats got scared and said, okay, John Kerry, right? That's not the world we live in today. It's now 12 years later, and people are getting information and go, well, I don't have to be scared of this. This guy's saying all the things I'm thinking, which is I'm sick of the donors controlling all the politicians. You tell me the establishment isn't for Hillary Clinton? Okay, then maybe I'm against her, right? Now, that was problem number one. That's well established. Problem number two is a ticking time bomb for Hillary Clinton, which is a corruption issue. Now, is Hillary Clinton taking money from the banks and putting it into her pocket? The answer is yes. That actually happened. That literally has happened over and over again to the tune of millions of dollars. She gave two speeches at Goldman Sachs after she left government and before she started the race. They were both for $200,000, and they weren't for her campaign. She took that $400,000 for a whopping 2 hours. They must have been some great speeches, and put it in her pocket, right? So that's how the Clintons have gotten rich all along. But that's not what I'm talking about here. Yes, the banks and the powerful give a ton to Hillary Clinton's campaign. They've given her personal money she could use through speeches. They've done the same for Bill Clinton, and they now have over $100 million because of that. But the corruption I'm talking about relates to the Clinton Foundation. Now, the Clinton Foundation has done a lot of great work, but they have also raised a lot of money from a lot of questionable countries, including Saudi Arabia, which is supposed to be one of our allies. But in return for that were promises offered, especially when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. When that news story came out many months ago, I said, that's the real deal. Like the emails, okay, well, you know, what kind of emails had classified information? Okay, that's an issue. General Petraeus had the same issue, which I'm going to tell you about in a second, and he's largely a Republican. And in both cases, I said, look, he passed it on to his mistress. It's wrong. It shouldn't happen. They should hold them to account, but it's not a major issue. Totally consistent in both Republican and Democratic cases. But wait a minute. If you took those emails and you made them so that the government couldn't look in on them because you were doing special favors for countries who are donating to the Clinton Foundation, well, that's a real scandal. That's real corruption. So now there's a story here, grain of salt with this one. It's an intelligence source at the FBI, but they went to Fox News. So I'll explain. So Fox News explains the agents are investigating the possible intersection of the Clinton Foundation donations, the dispensation of State Department contracts, and whether regular processes were followed. Okay, now if Fox's source is correct and the FBI is actually investigating that, and at some point during the campaign that investigation becomes public, that's really bad news for the Hillary Clinton campaign. If it happens in the primaries, it's just bad news for her campaign. If it happens during the general election, it's really bad news for the entire Democratic Party, and then I would argue the entire Republican Party if we have a madman like Donald Trump running against her, or Ted Cruz. Now, one intelligence source told Fox News that FBI agents would be screaming if a prosecution is not pursued because, quote, many previous public corruption cases have been made and successfully prosecuted with much less evidence than what is emerging in this investigation. Now, I tell you to take it with a grain of salt because it's Fox News, not just because they're not a real news organization, which we've talked about a lot in the past, and they have a point of view, and they hide their point of view. It'd be much better if they were just honest about their point of view. But think about who at the FBI is going to go to Fox News to break a story. Likely a Republican, likely someone who is not a big fan of Hillary Clinton. Now, if they're breaking the story and going to Fox News and it's true, well, then it doesn't really matter that they went to Fox News. Now, if they have an agenda and it's not true, then we're going to discount this whole thing. You don't discount the Clinton Foundation issues. It's just whether the FBI is investigating. This is the story at hand now. If that source is correct and they are investigating, and it could come out during the election, well, that would be, like I said, massive. It would be a time bomb. Now, then they explain the FBI's attitude towards Petraeus. They say the FBI is particularly on edge in the wake of how the case of former CIA Director David Petraeus was handled. Now, I paused there in the article while I was reading it and thinking, well, okay, is it that Petraeus was considered a Republican and he got the book thrown at him, and so they're mad if Hillary doesn't also get the book thrown at him? I was like, but I don't remember it being that way. I remember he got off fairly light. It turns out they are actually pissed that he got off light. So let me quote here. One of the three sources said some FBI agents felt Petraeus was given a slap on the wrist for sharing highly classified information with his mistress and biographer Paula Broadwell, as well as lying to the FBI agents about his actions. Petraeus pled guilty to a misdemeanor in March of 2015 after a 2+ year federal investigation in which Attorney General Eric Holder initially declined to prosecute. So once again, the Obama administration helping the powerful, and even though Petraeus might have, according to reports, Fox News encouraged him, the same Fox News run by Roger Ailes. Roger Ailes encouraged Petraeus to run against Obama in the last election. Even so, Obama administration is like, whoa, 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 he's powerful. Take it easy on him. Take it easy. Don't do a full prosecution. So what the FBI is actually pissed about is not a Republican or a Democrat thing. That, hey, we get the evidence on these big power players in both parties, and the Obama administration never pursues it. That's what they're pissed about. Now, again, if that's true, well, then that takes out some of the partisan line of attack here against Hillary Clinton, makes it more of a genuine case. We'll see if they're right about this story as time unfolds. But I hope we find out one way or another really, really soon. Because if you find out about this in the middle of a general election, that's called a disaster.